Hey guys, Phil/Poly going here. Welcome to episode 12 of the channel. Guys, I always say guys and girls. Come one and all. You're all welcome here. More Dark Souls, more PvP, chilling in Ulasil Township. And I'm thinking this is going to be just another grab bag episode, kind of a random assortment of topics and news and stuff that comes up just from running around out in the wild. But before going any further, I must say thank you to everybody that popped by over the last couple days, checked out the channel, participated in conversation, left feedback. You guys are awesome. And thank you a ton to Martyrs. Martyrs Brigade 99 gave me a shout out on one of his videos a couple days ago that sent a slew of awesome people this way. And he did it for no reason than just being cool. So sincerely, man, thanks a ton. I'll talk a little bit more about that after the break. Opened with this clip, one, because I think the bolts hanging out of me are hilarious. But two, I thought the dragon roar into the Avalon barrage was kind of cool, kind of clever. I'd not seen that before. Well done, dragon guy. Good kill. Episode 12. Here we go. All right, sweet. So before jumping directly into gameplay commentary, I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to expound on, maybe not a couple of minutes, but a little bit of time to expound on some of the thoughts that I brought up in the intro, and then also some of the stuff I was talking about in my last episode regarding the community and the quality of it and just the kick-assitude of it. You know, there has not been a single comment, not one, that has come in to the tune of, "Oh my god, you suck, man, you scrub, get the fuck off YouTube, nobody wants to see that." And while that could, all be very true, everything that's come in has been so supportive and so cool and so helpful. And it's just a testament. It really underscores what I was talking about in the last episode in terms of this community is pretty fucking stellar. And it's just kind of, people helping people. As cheesy as that sounds, we all have a dedication to this game and a vested effort in making the community better. And because of the contributions that you guys are making in the comments section of this thing, those comments are becoming kind of a treasure trove of helpful information and knowledge for new players, or for guys like me that just came late to the game. We might not have all of this general community intelligence at the ready. And that is just pretty great. That has me absolutely staggered. Neener. In a good way, though, not in a stun lock to death kind of way. All right, cool. So that's enough sap. But seriously, thank you guys so much. Thanks again to Martyrs for the initial shout out. That was just amazing. And now that the touchy-feely stuff is out of the way, let's get on with the violence. We're like an action movie that has a heart. It's sort of like, oh, that was so nice. Now more killing. Okay, so through all of these clips, I'm actually playing with my Dex build, and actually this is the first build I ever made in the game. When I came into Dark Souls cold all those many weeks ago, I didn't look it up on Mugen Monkey, didn't look at any kind of build suggestions. I just took some of my knowledge from Demon Souls and was sort of like, all right, let's make a Dex. So I'm kind of revisiting it as an experiment to see if it holds up, and yeah, holds up fine. How could it not? It's a stock Dex build. He'll do just fine. So now throwing back, here is a example of the community not being so great. We got a giant dad, so you know exactly what you're going to expect. I haven't had a lot of experience with these guys, so I thought, yeah, I'm just going to charge in there and work on my parry timings. To little to no success. I did a pretty terrible job. So I get slayed quite easily. I sent him a message just saying like, oh my god, that was terrible. He comes back with a less than supportive response. And that's fine. Actually, in that situation, I don't blame him. I mean, I went in there and just made an ass of myself, got just terrible, looked terrible throwing out those sloppy parries. And, I might have made the same assumption against my opponent. But that actually got me thinking, maybe I shouldn't. When you come across these situations where you just destroy somebody, maybe not always safe to assume that, oh my god, that guy just sucks, or oh, that guy's just terrible, or whatnot. Maybe that guy was just trying something out. Maybe that guy was just practicing something, or working on a new build, or using a weapon he or she wasn't familiar with. So I don't know, that can be a pretty dangerous assumption in terms of fighting somebody that just, goes out in about 8 seconds to some not advanced stuff, and then you just kind of write them off. So I'm going to be cognizant of that in the future when I come across people that there's a similar situation. And this also got me thinking a little bit about giant dads, and maybe a question for the community in general. I know it was started by Only Afro as sort of a novelty build, sort of a gag build. They're dangerous as hell, high defense, and they hit pretty hard, and they just stunlock the hell out of you. Yeah, see? Not that easy, is it, kiddo? So, question for the community. Have you ever seen a giant dad that can play? Like, that can really play? I don't know that I've ever come across one who didn't just run up and spam those two-handed attacks because they can't even wield their weapon one-handed. Like, have you ever come across one that just, like, was badass and that was maybe just their play style? I have not. I don't think I've seen any either. It's always been just about the, fast-rolling, heavy armor, throwback gag to the Darkwood Grain Ring nerf with the medium roll in patch 105 or whenever that was. But I think that'd be pretty interesting. I think it might be fun to do a giant dad build, but then go out there and just play the shit out of it. And I think that would surprise a lot of people. And I bet you would still get no credibility, even if you won with it, even if you played really well. Because I think people just see giant dad and they say, oh, giant dad, rah, 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 rah. But I think that would be pretty funny. I'm going to keep my eye out for some incredibly talented giant dads. That terrible sound I just made was supposed to be the sound of somebody's eyes rolling, if that wasn't altogether clear. I'm not quite sure what eyes rolling sounds like, and that was my stab at it. But I think I'm going to do that down the road sometime, just as a gag, put together a giant dad build, and then go out there and fight straight up honor duels and sort of just buck the whole meme. And just kind of, with my Burger King mask, do proper bows at the beginning and end of every duel, and just not try to rely on the spam. I maybe jump around, fast roll around, Darkwood Grain Ring around, and just try and get in pokes with my two-handed Zwei, because I can't wield it one-handed. Good crossbow finish, brass armor guy. I think that'd be kind of hilarious. I would enjoy seeing that. I would break a smile if I saw that come up against me. Or maybe that's paladin armor. I'm not quite versed enough to know on sight when he's decked out in his phantom red. But aside, that is something I'm working on and something I think is going to be invaluable to getting better. And I'm sure a lot of the more experienced players can attest to this too. Being able to eyeball your opponent's equipment on sight, especially in regards to poise, to get some idea in terms of how hot you can go in, where you need to back off, whether or not you're going to be able to stagger them, how many hits it's going to take to stagger them, and all sort of those nuances just by making an initial assessment of your opponent's equipment. So that's something that I'm trying to memorize, poise values for each of these things, or at least estimates, so I have a better idea of how to approach these situations. But this guy was really fun to fight against. He came in as an invader several times, but fought as a duelist. I'm going to loop back to that in just a second. But we were both using not terribly hard-hitting weapons. I don't know what the jump was for. Not terribly hard-hitting weapons. So the battles were pretty protracted, very frenetic, fast pace, lots of back and forth, and it was just great. I learned a ton, so thanks, man, a lot for some great fights. So looping back to what I was about to say earlier, here's a segue. I've been thinking a lot about duels versus invasions. I mean, this is kind of an ongoing, everlasting debate within the community in terms of what constitutes a duel, what constitutes a random invasion, what's appropriate in an invasion that's not appropriate in a duel, and like sort of all those community rules around this kind of thing. And as I've been spending more and more time in Ulasil and doing more and more summon duels and more invasions that are handled as duels, and more invasions where guys just come in and try to slaughter you without any sign of honor or things like that, all valid, I would proffer the following thoughts. So the entry mechanism, the matchmaking mechanism, does not determine whether or not it's a duel or an invasion, in my opinion. If you come into Ulasil, which is sort of a location accepted by the community for duels, note to self, you cannot parry Wrath of the Gods, dumbass. So if you come into Ulasil, you come down off the steps from the Colosseum, and then you break out your red-eye orb, and you invade somebody's world, and the host is sitting there waiting for you, that is not an invasion, even though it says, your spirit is invading the world of someone else, or whatever the little message says. That is not an invasion. if the host is waiting for you, if you guys bow, if there's like letting each other grass, you cannot play as an invader, in my opinion. You should not, take the all-out slay the host approach. Even though you came in via an invasion mechanism, that is not an invasion. There is no hunting the host. There is no, involuntary breaking into somebody's game. He was sitting there waiting for you. So at that point, that becomes a duel. And I would say that the mechanism for entry does not determine whether it's a duel or an invasion. God, sometimes the hitboxes in this game baffle me. How did that guy not take any damage? And actually, so that guy, we ran into each other a couple of times, one with this build and one on another build, Sunsorn, if you're listening, what's up, man? And he comes from a totally different place than I do. I mean, we exchanged some messages briefly about this, going back and forth, and he said, you know what, I go all out all the time, duel, invasion, whatever it is. And I was like, oh, I'm on the honor side of the fence, where if it's a duel, I'm going to play drastically differently. And we had a little bit of a conversation about it, and it was just really great to get another perspective, some insight into that. But how did I not hit him? I don't know. And I'm pretty curious to get some of your thoughts on this as well, because I don't think I hear it talked about that often. Maybe it's just so obvious that it's not even worth talking about. But I definitely get the impression that when camping out here in Ulasil for duels, sometimes invaders come in and they think, all right, this was an easy invasion. He's just right there. And, they go all out, win at all costs, and they just, there's no acknowledgement that this is a duel. And I said, that is not an invasion. That's a meetup. I'm right there. I'm waiting for you. And so I don't think you can say using your red eye orb, cracked or whole, or using a blue eye orb gives you the right to play as an invader. And that's assuming that you play differently when you're an invader and when you're dueling, or when you have set matches, set up matches, and things like that. That's kind of my 2 pennies on the situation. So definitely let me know what you think about that. Because, like I said, I don't do a lot of random invasions, but I do have a build that's a Dark Moon. And so when I go in as a Dark Moon Blade, if the host is right there and just like clearly looking for some PvP, you play as a duelist. And I've said this before in previous videos too, that I wish everybody in the game took exactly the same approach that I do. I'm sure a lot of people wish that. It would make things so nice and so clean and just so pleasant and civil. But that's pretty asinine. That's a juvenile, naive thing to wish for. I might as well wish to be a member of the Voltron team, or I might as well wish to be a Ninja Turtle, or wish for world peace. Pretty stupid. So I understand there's the aspect of reality, but basically, for me, being a duelist means I'm not going to buff, I'm not going to heal, I'm not going to spam some of the stickier magics like Wog or 5 Great Combustions all in a row, and I'm going to try and fight pretty clean. I'm not going to do anything cheap, no chain BSs and stuff like that. So that is my promise to you. If I run into you out there in the field, that's what you can expect from me if we are dueling. And if you play otherwise, that's totally fine. You are probably going to hand my ass to me on a paper plate. Why a paper plate instead of a silver platter? Well, because the paper plate is easily disposed of, just like me in that situation. But that's fine. Hopefully I learned something from it and am better equipped to deal with it down the road. That happened just yesterday. I was dueling with somebody that just must have had like 16 or 24 Great Combustions just stocked, and they were just running around doing nothing but. They might as well have been naked with a pyro glove on. And after a couple different matches, I messaged them and I was sort of like, oh my god, that is so difficult to escape. And they came back and they're like, you want me to stop doing it? And it's like, well, no. If you want to stop doing it, then yes, please stop doing it. But otherwise, I need to be able to deal with it. So that's kind of the approach that I'm taking, as I said ad nauseum in prior videos. And let me tell you, it is a long road to hoe, filled with farming humanity. But I have since learned from a lot of great tips from you guys that farming humanity is so much goddamn better in the chasm of the abyss rather than those godforsaken rats. So thanks in spades to everybody that gave me that tip. That was great. All right, so I am out of coffee, and I think I'm going to bring this one to a close. Sorry about that right there. I edited out the fight with that red phantom that was waiting in the wings. That was actually my Vanu Dubstep buddy. We had seen him a couple times earlier. Great fights. He beat me that time. Actually, I think he beat the crap out of me that time. And I wanted to end on a high note, so there's a little bit of camera trickery there, just in the interest of transparency. But I want to let you guys know I do have another episode of my live playthrough with the Faith character coming out. I actually had that one ready to go in the can and was going to upload it over the weekend. But with all the new faces that were in the fold that stopped by to say hi and stuff like that, I didn't want to put something out there that seemingly didn't even acknowledge that or say hello. So I wanted to get this one out there, so there was a little bit of a delay since the last video. I'll get that one posted hot on the heels of this episode 12. Then the next one, I got another thing that I'm putting together on fight clubs, which I'm pretty excited about. So keep your eyes peeled for that in the not too distant future. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Definitely hit me up in the comments or leave some feedback in another mechanism. Shoot me a message, whatever's clever. And if I see you out in the field, definitely say hi. There's been a couple people already, which has been pretty fucking awesome and pretty great. And hopefully I didn't embarrass myself too much against some of you guys. So we'll see you next time. I'll let the fight finish out, and have a lovely, what is today, Monday. Have a lovely Monday, everybody. Bye.